Well, I guess that means we're live. It is another Friday night. I am here with my Friday night bestie, Sean Webb, the director of the Desert Sands Educational Foundation. And welcome to those beautiful Friday night lights. I am Kevin Pillow, the voice of reason, the voice of the Rajas. I have a lot of names, the one true voice of high school sports in the Coachella Valley. But we have got ourselves a barn burner, good old fashioned mid-season rivalry game, and probably I think actually looking at the schedule, might be one of the only few rivalry games left after this massive league takeover a couple of years ago. And Sean Webb is live at Aztec Stadium, where we've got ourselves a heck of a game between the Aztecs and the Blackhawks.
Hey, Kevin, thank you so much. No, thank you very much. We're at Aztec Stadium here for the Palm Desert versus La Quinta football game. Great rival game for the flag. Game started off first quarter. It was 3-0 at the end. And now I'm looking at the scoreboard with 18 seconds left in the first half. It is Palm Desert 17, La Quinta 0. Palm Desert just scored as of late. Their quarterback just threw a touchdown 24 yards out. I heard it over the loudspeaker. It was Carter DeBianco. Little combination, and from what I understand, they hear a lot of over here at Palm Desert. But 17-0. La Quinta's got the ball. They just called the timeout. They're about at the they're at the 25-yard line. So they'll get a chance at a couple more plays here with just 18 seconds. But great atmosphere, Kevin. It's great because I want to say these are two of the best stands that we have, best fans, in student groups. And you've seen both these groups and so forth many times. And the student fans are going back and forth. So it's almost like a college atmosphere.
That's what I love about it is this rivalry game even goes back to my time as a high school student. I didn't go to either school, but as a fan, and I played on Saturdays. So our high school, we played on Saturdays all the time. So we would always try to go to this game, the Aztecs and the Blackhawks. It's always been a huge game. Since day one, and Sean, that rivalry games usually take a little time to build and percolate, especially when you're a new school. Like La Quinta opened in 1996, and it just seemed like right out of the gate, this was a rivalry to be had, and it has lived up to the expectations every single year. I know it's 17-0 right now at Aztec Stadium, and I know that the Aztecs, for the lack of a better term, have been the better team as of late under Shane McComb. But I tell you one thing, Patrick Rivetis has really got the Blackhawks team turned around this year. They got a goose egg on the scoreboard, but what are you liking? Because I know you've spent some time, Sean, on both campuses. What do you like? What have you seen that you like?
No, I'll tell you, I can relate a little bit more with the Palm Desert team right now because I was their most recent. And some of these kids that are playing that are juniors and seniors, they were freshmen and sophomores when I was here. So it's kind of fun to see them and relate and see them, how they're doing. But my goal tonight is I want an injury-free good game. We've seen that this far. It's just that Palm Desert just scored the last two touchdowns in the last couple minutes here. It's been a close game, and now, like I said, La Quinta's got another play coming up here. About 12 seconds left, and it's, let's see here. Actually, they're punting because it's 4th and 15. So Palm Desert may get a chance at one more play.
One more play. Well, I tell you one thing, it is a wild one around the Coachella Valley. A lot of implications. Obviously, with our slight bias, we will give you an update on the Desert Sands teams right now. Of course, because Sean has, he likes to support his hometown teams. Obviously, we said 17-0. Palm Desert and La Quinta, both Desert Sands schools. Shadow Hills is still down 7-0. That game is inching ever so closer to halftime. And this just in from Yucca Valley, the Indio Rajas have gotten on the board. It is, I believe, 15-7 in favor of the Trojans over the Rajas right now. And as you see the score there on the bottom, our friends from the Coachella Valley Unified School District and Palm Springs also in action. And of course, Banning and are they part of the Morongo Unified School District? Is that what it is?
I couldn't catch that one last there, Kevin.
Well, we know that Yucca and 29 Palms are with our friends from the Morongo Unified School District. Yep. Banning, are they the same? I want to give a shout out to all of our friends in the school district.
I think Banning is their own school district.
Oh, there you go. The Banning School District. Yeah, way to go, guys. Everyone, and we get comments and tweets and everything from all over the Inland Empire. And we really support everyone supporting, not just here in the Desert Sands Unified School District, but CV, Palm Springs, Morongo, and Banning, all being huge supporters. You mentioned the crowd, maybe flirting with some colorful language, we will so to speak, but that's typical of teenagers. They get riled up for these games. But you said too, little extracurricular
Like I was saying, I'll just
pyro
let
from the
it.
skies
They're
there.
having a great time, both fans, sets of fans here, and it's very much like a college atmosphere. One thing I do want to point out is you hear this loud music playing. It's fantastic. I got Mr. Killing and Mr. Mazet up in the press box here. That's why we're not catching with them today. They're a little bit busy with activities, but what they're setting up behind me, and you can see Guy Lake, the band director here, is they're going to set up their whole their field presentation. I don't know the name of their presentation this year and their song that they're performing, but I know it'll be amazing. So if you're on the National Football High School website, I'm sure you can see that live, but I know that Mr. Lake is going to be competing all throughout Southern California with this band this year. So the fans here are getting a little peek at it. So it's great to kind of highlight the band students as well.
Yeah, and I we mentioned that was something that we missed during the and there's a live look in. One thanks to our friends at the National Federation of High Schools as well as the CIF Southern section. But that was something that was missed. We've talked about this all this season. That's something that was missed in the spring ball was no bands, and I love that everything has kind of gone back to somewhat normalcy. And again, the field shows. This is what's important, guys. And for those of you watching for the first time, is band directors spend all of preseason and the first couple of games of league to fine tune their quote field show, and it is a massive presentation. And usually by the end of the season, we get a full production, and it looks like Palm Desert is in mid-season form right now. It looks absolutely great. And again, hats off to Chris Killian, who has been absolutely killing it up there in the booth, usually pulling double duty, joining us and doing stats and spotter for the announcer. And he pretty much a jack of all trades is Mr. Killian, as well as want to give a shout out the Lady Aztec soccer season right around the corner. And Sean, you and I have been talking off the air that maybe we have something brewing in the spring or the winter season. So
you know what, Kevin, I'll just flat out say it. We're going to have something in the winter seasons. You want to host a Saturday morning, you want to do an evening, we can definitely line that up for you. This has been nothing but great exposure for our students, our schools, and our families. So count on it. I know the foundation's got your back on that. I'm looking forward to seeing some winter sports as well as spring sports highlighted with you. But you know what? I'm going to enjoy the band performance here. I'm going to let you take it away. Kevin, it's always a pleasure to be with you, and I greatly appreciate your partnership with Desert Sands Educational Foundation.
Sean Webb, Director of Community Engagement in the Education Foundation at Desert Weber. You can I've lost the phone number here, but I'm sure if you go to that Twitter account, it's somewhere on there. But you text DSEF, there's a phone number. You can donate to the Desert Sands Education Foundation. Real quick, before I let you go, CamFest, are we a go for 2021, 2022? Or
with the amount of tennis tournaments that got going on and the Ironman and all the activities at the tennis gardens, we're going to be, unfortunately, we won't have one this year.
Okay.
We're looking forward to 2022.
I'm looking forward to 2022, the 23 school year. CamFest is a huge event. And again, if you want more information, you can go to the Desert Sands Educational Foundation webpage or Facebook page, which you're watching on us, and get more information about that. What's that?
Definitely. Or they could just shoot me a message on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, you name it.
There you go. Sean Webb, enjoy halftime, and we will maybe we might do a sneak peek in there. All right, Sean, have a great night.
We'll see you. Thanks.
He is Sean Webb, the director of the Desert Sands Educational Foundation, and what a great job he does, and how important that organization is to the and I'm kind of watching live right now. Shadow Hills Xavier at the half, stunner right now. Shadow Hills, who has been undefeated on the year, is right now trailing 7-0 in that game against Xavier Prep. A goal line stance by the Xavier Saints kept the Knights out of the end zone, and they drove the ball as quickly as they could away from that line, and kept the score as it is right now. But what a great job. I want to point this out right now, and maybe we can go to the live feed here in just a moment. So bear with me. We're going to try to bring it up. Is For those who don't know, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The Shadow Hills family lost one of their all-time greats, and it's no secret that at one point, I was the voice of the Knights, and now with the Rajas. Um, the One of the all-time best players that Shadow Hills ever had was Isaiah Ortega Dag, and he graduated about 4 or 5 years ago. Was a phenomenal athlete, um, all around good kid. At least to me, I had about, I'd say, a handful of interactions with Isaiah and his family over the 4 years at Shadow, and um, he was an interesting kid, but he played his heart out for the Knights. Was like I said, a phenomenal athlete, and I had one. I used to do a presentation for the different high schools here in the valley, and talking about getting involved with the media and whatnot. And Isaiah was in one of the classes that I taught, and he was very engaged and interested in what I did and how to get into it. And he was a young man that had aspirations of being a big time football player, and unfortunately, it just ended up not being able to take his game to that next level. But he had a family. He had a young daughter, and he that became priority number one after high school. And unfortunately, Isaiah lost his life a couple of weeks ago in a tragic car accident. And we send our condolences for everyone here at the Desert Sands Educational Foundation, and of course Prep Sports Net. We send our condolences to his family. And Isaiah was laid to rest last Monday in Indio, out at the Coachella Cemetery, I believe. And so there, the Knights family paying tribute to Isaiah with his family and friends there at Knight Stadium at the Dungeon. I know a lot of coaches still on staff, including Coach Escabel, the head coach for Shadow Hills right now. A lot of his staff coached Isaiah years ago when he was with the Shadow Hills Knights. So that was the tribute that they did tonight. Was great. As you can see there, a blustery night. Ooh, all of a sudden, wow, look at that. The wind's starting to really kind of whip up there in Indio. And this is from where our studios are at here at Prep Sports Net. This is just a few miles away. I mean, probably about a mile away from where our studios are at. And it's a crazy windy night there. Give you an update real quick. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. I believe still at the half, it is Palm Desert 17, La Quinta 0 in the flag game. Yes, you heard it here, folks. The flag game is being played mid-season. Not something I'm sure they would have liked to have happen, but it is what it is. But again, Palm Desert up big in that game. They again at the half in that game. Also at the half right now, it is Rancho Mirage 21, Palm Springs 7. The Indians jumped out early in that game, and then all of a sudden, it just Rancho Mirage just kind of turned on the afterburners. A couple of turnovers I saw in the live stream, so we'll get you that score there. Also, another game at the half. Coachella Valley 14-0 lead over 29 Palms. Of course, that huge game last week against Indio, where they went to overtime against the Rajas. And so 29 Palms really kind of struggling to get out of the gate here in that game. We mentioned also 7-0 at the half. Xavier and Shadow Hills in that matchup. Again, the storyline of that game for Shadow Hills is that there was only one first down between each team in the first quarter. So kind of a impressive defensive struggle in that game between the Saints and the Knights. And that this is a game too, mind you, just in the last couple of years with the creation of the Desert Empire League. This is a game that up until the creation of the Mayor's Cup, this was considered to be a potential rivalry game for Shadow Hills. When they were still a very young team, they were going to talk about playing the I-10 Bowl or something like that. But this is definitely a game that goes way back, because when Shadow first opened its doors back, I think it was like 2007. Xavier was still quite a young team as well, and they just kind of were a more evenly matched team. And I know that they played a couple of times, and Xavier actually ended up winning big. But it's still, I think this is going to end up being a pretty neat in-league rivalry game, since Indio and Shadow play in separate leagues there. We also mentioned Yucca and Indio 15-7. That game started a bit late and is got to be nearing the halftime. I'm going to look at the Twitter account here. It is at the half, so it is 15-7. We mentioned that game last week between between Indio and 29 Palms went to overtime in that game, and the reason being, and the kind of should be the footnote to that game should be that Indio was down 21-0 at one point in the first quarter. First quarter, down 21-0. Speaking of which, Cathedral City up big on Banning right now, 32-8. I believe that game is also gone to the half. But they were down 21-0. And they marched back and tie the game 42-42 late in the fourth quarter. Matter of fact, Indio scored, kicked an onside kick, recovered, got it in the end zone again shortly thereafter, then tried to kick another onside kick and nearly got it. It went rolling into the end zone and was thrown out the back of the end zone by a 29 Palms player, which would be it. Safety, right? No, wrong. Called it a touchback. Don't quite understand the ruling behind that call. If you want to let me know, put it in the comments or hit us up at Twitter at prepsports_net right there on the screen. Use the hashtag DSEF halftime. But it wasn't explained very well about why the ball on the kickoff, kind of Fumblerooski style, rolled into the end zone. And then a 29 Palms player threw it into the back of the end zone and out of bounds so that a Indio player wouldn't recover. Nearly recovered it for a touchdown, which would have also ended the game. But as time ran out, immediately they called for touchback. And I just think it was the wrong call, but that's just me. If you know the rule, let me know in the comments. Whether you're watching us here on Facebook, want to say thank you to the Desert Sands Educational Foundation, as well as the school, as well as Palm Desert and La Quinta High School for streaming on their page. Also, you can find us on Prep Sports Net, also streaming there on our Facebook page. Trying to get one more score update for you out of Desert Hot Springs. And real quick, I want to give you an update on the standings there. Scrolling below, Coachella Valley 5-1, 3-0 in DVL play. Yucca Valley 2-1, 3-2 overall. Cathedral City 4-2, 2-1 in the league. They had to take a couple of forfeited losses. Indio 2-4 on the year, 2-1 in DVL play. 29 Palms 3-1-1. They're 1-1-1 in league play. Banning 1-5, 1-2 in league. Desert Mirage in 7th, 1-4-1 overall, 0-2-1 in league play. DHS 1-5, 0-3. And while we get an update for you on that Desert Hot Springs game, you can see the standings there below. It is at the half 22-0 in favor of the Golden Eagles. And Desert Hot Springs trying to get back into contention for this game, or for this season. Now, there was a lot of high hopes for the Golden Eagles that they could finally kind of get some momentum in this league, but they've had a lot of ups and downs throughout the year. A lot of, like I said, a lot of high hopes, a lot of high expectations. So yeah, just kind of, like I said, kind of looking forward to how DHS kind of turns it around. There you go. DVL play. Shadow Hills, who is losing right now, 7-0 at the half, 6-0 on the year, 1-0 in league play. Xavier Prep 3-2-1, 1-0 in league play. Palm Springs 1-0, 4-1 overall. They are trailing by 2 scores at the half against Rancho Mirage. Palm Desert's 4-2, 0-1 in league play. They lead at the half, 17-0. La Quinta 4-1, 0-1 in league play. They trail Palm Desert at the half, and in 6th place, Rancho Mirage 0-1 on the year, 4-1 overall, 0-1 in league play. Rather, take a look at the some of the games going on around the Coachella Valley, trying to see if any other games have come back from the half. And Palm Desert is starting to get warmed up. Let's take a live look in to that game as they prepare to go back to the half. So there's a live look at Aztec Stadium. You said 17-0 in favor of the Aztecs. That's the flag game. That's right. We're playing a rivalry game early in this season. And again, I want to say thank you to the CIF Southern Section, as well as the National Federation of High School Sports. And shout out to Mr. Chris Kulian there listening, about 50 seconds. So what we're going to do, we are going to take this all the way up to kickoff in our game of the week there. And we'll end our broadcast for the evening. Again, I want to say thank you to Sean Webb, the director of the Desert Sands Educational Foundation. He's out there amongst the fans there in Palm Desert, probably on the La Quinta sideline. I meant to ask him if they still do the tradition, in this case, La Quinta warming up at La Quinta. I would imagine with Patrick Rivenis being the head coach that they probably still do that. And Patrick played for Dan Armstrong for years, but nonetheless. Again, guys, don't forget at prepsports_net. We'd really appreciate any feedback that you guys have, any questions that you might have. You can also leave them in the comments section below if you're watching on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Subscribe to the Desert Sands Educational Foundation, as well as Prep Sports Net's YouTube channel there, and we will keep you up to date on any upcoming videos. Like Sean said, we are working on producing a Saturday morning show. Prep Sports Net Live would be coming back, kind of do like a magazine style, do some interviews, scores and highlights. We are going to do something with the winter sports, probably more tied in to basketball. But definitely going to keep an eye on soccer and other sports. Um, with the NFHS and the cameras being on most of these campuses, um, this is going to open up an opportunity because I know that they have a lot of these schools have cameras in the gyms as well. So we're going to get to see basketball, and we might into the playoffs might have opportunities to get updates via the NFHS on playoff volleyball games because, like I said, there's a lot of gym cameras out there. So the future of the Desert Sands Educational Foundation halftime show is definitely what's it called? Going to be doing some playoff games. We're about on the downward slope. I'd say about 4 games left in the season, and we're going to do a halftime show during the playoffs, and we will do a halftime show as of right now. Unofficially, we will be doing halftime shows during basketball. It's going to take a little time as we get said. La Quinta will kick the ball away. That's probably not what La Quinta wants to do. They will pooch kick it, and it will be taken about the 22-yard line, and that's right up the middle. Take it down to midfield, and that is where the Aztecs will take over. So rivalry week, mid-season. La Quinta up 21-0. I'll take that 17-0. I apologize. I really apologize there. To start the third quarter, take a look to other games going on. Shadow Hills is just about ready to start. They had an extended halftime because of that tribute to Isaiah Ortega-Deg. And so there's games in action. I believe Rancho Mirage and Palm Springs is at the half still. We are live look at their game, and it is at the half. They're still warming up, I believe. Oh no, I'm sorry. They're in the third quarter. They are underway. It is 21-7. I apologize. So that game is now in the third quarter between Rancho and Palm Springs. That is a shocker. Really, really is. And I have all the respect in the world for Rancho Mirage and what they're doing, and I just know that they've had a real kind of a turnaround, so to speak, kind of rebuilding year, as they say. And it's kind of a shocker. I really, really is a shocker that they are playing as well as they are. I know they've had, like I said, a lot of kind of ups and down kind of reboot to their program, but they are not missing a stride right now against the Indians. 21-7 in that game. Should be noted, we talked about this, I think, last week, and I want to wrap up here on a Friday night. I mentioned on our broadcast last week, looking forward to some of the rivalry games. And one of the games absent from the schedule, and I meant to ask Coach Lee and about this a couple of weeks ago when I had a chance to talk to him, as why the decision to not play the Red-Blue game between Cathedral City and Cathedral City and Palm Springs. So obviously it comes down to scheduling. So yeah. Well, things are underway around the Coachella Valley after halftime. Just got an update. It is 28-0 in favor of Desert Hot Springs as they have started the second half in their matchup. Don't forget, we will be on the road. We will not be here in the Prep Sportsnet studio next week, as we will be back on the road against As India will play. I take that back. We will not be back on the road until Friday the 22nd, and that will be against Desert Hot Springs. So actually, we will be a couple of more weeks here on from the Prep Sports Net studios. And like I said, a Saturday show is coming. Going to be magazine style, which means interviews, highlights, conversations, commentary, and also a winter show, halftime show will be coming. Whether it's going to be basketball, I think it's going to be more focused on basketball. That will be kind of the groundwork, the foundation, so to speak, will be basketball, and then we will cover soccer and other sports, water polo, and whatnot in the winter season, wrestling as well. Also, don't forget, hit us up at Prep Sports Net on Twitter at Prep Sports _net. Give us some scores on other sports. Hit us up, and don't forget to use the hashtag DSEF halftime, and let us know what else is going on. I want to hear from volleyball. I want to hear from tennis, golf. It looks like Palm Desert's doing quite well in women's golf right now. So, all right, guys, I am Kevin Pillow, the one true voice of high school sports in the Coachella Valley. I'm also the voice of the Rajas. No bias here tonight. You can find me on all social media platforms at Voice of Reason 23. You can also support this particular show at Prep Sports _net. You can also subscribe on Facebook and on YouTube if you're watching it somewhere else. And again, thank you to Sean Webb. Thank you to everyone producing this fine program. Thanks to everyone at the Desert Sands Educational Foundation. We will see you next week. Enjoy, be safe, and enjoy those Friday night lights.